What's up, everybody? My name is Kalen. I am the key keeper. Have no fear. The key is here. It is now. It is within. You are not without. Bring the K to the middle. And the O, the V was sprout. Draw the line through the Q. And bring theta from doubt, the sine, cause, and the tan of the serpents of the devout. All of these themes, all of these scenes that flitters a cloud. Silver-footed Aphrodite was Mercury and Venus, and the Greek story was found out. And now I am just asking myself, what is this matrix speak that is always like being spoken about online? Growing up, I have had notions of people in my family would say, ek het 'n voorgevoel gehad. Like they had some sort of preconception, preemptiveness, pre-feeling, pre-gut notion of a seminally hinting of an idea, bowing, subjecting, and then it'll gallop back to them like a horseshit deja vu. And then they were like, ek het 'n voorgevoel gehad, ek het geweet dit gaan gebeur. So yeah, it was just like this notion of myself, having had a certain notion of myself that is now becoming known unto myself. But it's not I, it's not me, it is all, and the O that makes it we again, and the N threading to the V, and this whole spectral rainbow letters and numbers speak, and the spoke, and the waves she shall yoke, and the eggs and the serpents, and the screens of it that made jokes, because the vanity of Venus was to see in it the reflection that was oaked, and the tree of life like a wisdom owl rose like Athena with a spear from hell, and the segment rage of the generations of Al, because the Genesis froze over what you thought of as hell. And it's just so everything, and it's so not Al, because the source we are trying to name, it might just ring a bell. So all of these muse speak, stream of consciousness speak, mistakes speak, matrix syncing with subtitles of thinking, things that you did not ink in the thoughts of your deep, but yet it reflects the same kind of light and the answer of the process to which your eyes seek, And it's always just like this poetry, and that's why I think like Greek language, or these languages that were written really extensively, like they needed a whole temple and all the dimensions of that temple to like write this entire creation song, and I think it goes more and more primitive in terms of like petroglyphs and everything that kind of like Medusa gazes the petrified archetypes into that atlas Pluto holding up the sphere of the deep, because it's been the fractal that spiraled into itself, and therefore it is the egg that will renew the snake as another half, and that's the 9 and the 6 coming to the 3 and the Cancer and the I, Gemini house of like goddess can see. And even like this slip of my tongue now, like I said job, because like yeah, and I just cut the A kind of like off because that most high H is up there in form, and that's what I was trying to chasm with my Rahu demonic gaze. And it's like it's this whole flip of like what should that be for what you attain, interestingly, like because there's all these putting us to sleep notions, all these creating altars of ultra MK ultras, and all these butterfly effects and Mandela effects, and they just have all kinds of phenomenological effects. And so yeah, like tuning into some of the content creators that I have been referencing, and there was like this weird little thing that happened where it almost felt like somebody who I continuously reference had like a cover photo to their CapCut video, and that would just like flash just very immediately prior to like the first time the video is on your feed, and then your Wi-Fi would open it up for you. So it was just like this brief thing that I saw, and then I tried to look for it again, and I saw it again, and then when I tried doing it again, it like didn't happen again. So it was just like this weird little notion of just like my own internalized it's like I already have like a Chiron stag somewhere in the deep of like what was the meaning of all of that, just in terms of like the reflective speak and the non-linear circumbobular self-referential all differentials type of thing that like I'm constantly Neptune in Capricorn. So it was just so interesting that this very same video spoke about Altair, and it spoke about just certain symbolisms that we have been getting into in terms of like what that cliff looks like, and just like the different religious connotations associated to all of the symbolisms that astrologically have these synonymous cross-referential words and archetypes and so on. So what I found interesting about that video was that it gave very demonic names, very just virtues in a sense that I've never heard it before, because of like, I don't know, maybe people around me didn't know what they were talking about when they were telling me what Leviathan was and so on. But even me learning through a recapitulation about Uttarabhadrapada and Leviathan and all of these like serpent of the deep things, that there's this crossover with like Cancer, and the serpents of the underground meets upper ground sometimes but disappears, but like that Naga Ashlesha thing, and yeah, and it just gave me that like bridge between like the Uttarabhadrapada mermaid trope that can also pull in Pusha and Anuradha through typecasting just because of the Saturn ethereal features that Clay Nakti mentioned. And then those leading to like the Gandhantas of Mercury and Ketu ruled nakshatras. So that is the one side of like a pillar to like a Jupiter and Rahu based Martian energy, but in the sense that, Rahu eclipses the sun and Jupiter is expansion and Mars is that like singular raid notion of the sun, Nissan type of in Horus V pointedness of that C that we saw cut from the 12th through the Scorpio rising into the Venusian castrati, that our whole divine androgyne swati matrix of it all kind of like pulled us into this unwinding of the entire projection field and stereotype and sound wall and media Medea mask of Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas Is You, and just the Yuletide of everything that the mind dissonance, that what you hear about Catholicism and young boys and singing for God, and it's just giving a whole different mic technique to these analogs of films that they produce and records that they scratch and hips that they hop, and like, yeah, what is like Camp Mariah as a metaphor now in like, just like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's so bizarre, and I just feel like I need to get more mathematical as to my Urania and this whole spectrum of everything, because it's like, it is like what I felt like these 6 assimilates to 9 and 9 synonyms to 6 Ashlesha Punarvasu thing that I felt within myself, and just everything that has now been kind of like a praxis about the Lionsgate portal and the Cationian, the true soul of the Homo Solaris, Monosaurus, Virgo, that, now by the barrening of a crow, magnetoluminescence of black holes, and all of these slavery and horsewhipped stag undertows, all bringing it back to the Pasiphae Rohini, that the Critica blade yodes or yonis or berashits to baranis, and then all they can really do is sing for you, because the energy that you give them is like, I don't know, and it's that vacuum, and it's that distortion, and it's that breaking up of the light into higher and higher mountain ranges and islands, and just the homunculi of the excrements and the placenta Mawaiians of just this everything, like America and where things rifted, what NASA said, where the constellations fit with fools and tarots and double speaks of a dragon-tailed serpent head, and even the Michael reference that I can now heal back to or hail, because all of these words are so potent. It's like their double speak doesn't fail. And that's just like the whole notion of me trying to find this wholeness of like just letting it come through me and not feel possessed by anything or attached to anything or altered or crucified, or like I have to choose between angels, demons, and principalities, but that I can arc it all together and see it all within myself and outside of myself in every which way that I feel like it needs to be truly experienced and felt, like whole-bodied, whole-minded, because I did feel like I wasn't getting anywhere with like where I wanted to go, because I wasn't doing my Mars North Node justice. I wasn't like activating my true holding spirit that's just like constantly been creating this honing and hearkening and hiring and healing and highening and healing and highening, and it's just revving. If you watch my natal chart synthesis, it's all revving. The petal is engaged, but you're not going anywhere. You're generating a lot of just God knows what. It's like this Ark of a Covenant. You're just like blasting out demons because you don't know what to say. You don't know what you are like castrated from. You don't know what you are missing. You have once upon a time felt gay, then you were bi, then you were pan, then you were like, hey. Punarasa uncomfortable cat yoni situation of just the whole opening up to everything and feeling like it was all just this master play buck breaking game, and then it's like you turn these dark emotions into art to metastasize pictures of shame. And then it's like you recapitulate everything that you know, but you want to be innocent and without blame. And it's just so everything for which I just like feel like these things, it's gonna be like part of my process like all the time, because I don't know who can tell you how to be whole, but just based on what we see in the world, there's so many different stories, and everybody can be on a pedestal to say that is their story, that is their truth, that is their knowing, and it's all colored in just by their perceptions and their health and their wealth and the foundation and the spiral of themselves that they feel an elation within. It's just like, I'm just like, why is it heads or tails about what could be the same watery yet physicalizing thing? And does it have to be this galactic rape or this just racial inversions of sixes and nines, and Blavatsky splitting the Libra man from like the ape, and it's just root races, and it's just metallurgy to clay with like every other thing in between to form a statuesque shape, and it's just all chimeric and transhumanistic, and it's fairy tale, and it's fiction, and it's movies, and it's life, and it's just you, and it's the W, and it's not you because it's all of you, and the A and the Taurus and the cut of the calf that puts an E to the S of the snake, and that's how you have this C of the Venus and everything that, her reflections caused us to just stare at an 8, because the Mercury that our cipher showed us, it's all coming back to the 9 that the Cyclops through Pluto's 3 to the 6 was negate, arcing back to the numbers and the primes of the 0 to the 9s and the Aries to the Athenas and the Volokovsky Thunderbolt, slick dissident notions and takes. And is it all a projection? And how real is our reflection when from the allness, this pattern, our observance splits and breaks? And the reason that we see in the philosophem of the trivium and the Mercury from the 3 and the separating from the Aditi and the child that was cursed of Phoebe and the Hecate and everything, that Artemisia that was going like a Valkyrie, like an Elsa, and a seahorse, and a sea nymph, and a Sibyl, and a Saturn, and the glyph of Uranus cut into Jupiter, and it mattered, and it did this, and it did that, and the Antikarana of the Gemini reflect back to the Sag Sea of I said that when my mind did what you can't see, when I read that within me, when I was thee, and I thought I was without that, and all of these whirlpools of the words and the whirring of these orificing, sacrificing, capitulating, narrating. It is just us, and there's no need to be like, these knowledges are better, these genes are better, these backstories are better, these I am stories are better, these creator stories are better. Like, all of those words are taking from you what your being already told you you are without your knowledge. So, yeah, how do you reason with that? At that point, as a baby looking through the Punarvasu Katyoni slit eyes, suckling that breast. And then she said, when I think of home, I think of a place where there's love overflowing. I wish that I was home. I wish I could go back there with the thieves I've been knowing. Wind that makes the tall grass bend into leaning, and suddenly raindrops that fall, they have a meaning. They're sprinkling the sea, makes it all so clean. And maybe there's a chance I can go back now that I I have some direction, and it sure would be nice to be back home where there's love and affection. And just maybe I can't convince time to slow up, giving me enough time in my life to grow up. Time, please stay my friend and let me start again. And suddenly my world's gonna change its face, but I know where I'm going. I have had my mind spun around and around in space, yet I've watched it growing. I know you're listening, God. Won't you please try not to make it hard to know I shouldn't believe everything I see. Tell me, should I try and stay? Or maybe I should run away? Would it be better just to let it be? Living here in my brand new world. Yes, it might be a fantasy. Yes, it could be. But it taught me to love. So I know this is real. And I've learned we must all look inside ourselves to find. Yeah, we gotta find a world full of love, like yours and like mine, like mine. Oh.